Hello and welcome to Module 2 of Excel training. In this module, we will explore a little bit more about editing in an Excel file, and we will make one Excel file with proper formatting and the print layout for page layout for printing the Excel file. Quick recap what we saw last time in Module 1. In your Excel file, the area where you type is called a cell, and the area with the cells is called as grid. The letters across the top are the column headings. Number down the left side are the row numbers. Tabs at the bottom are called as worksheets or the sheets. The area with commands is called as ribbon. Excel file is called as workbook. Sheets in the workbook are called as worksheets. Excel file or worksheet is also referred as spreadsheets most of the times. You might have wondered how many cells your Excel can have. So here is some data. There are total 16,384 columns, and the columns named as letters A to Z, then it starts with AA to AZ, then BA to BZ, and the last column name is XFD. Total number of rows, there are 1 million rows in Excel file. So if you want to know how many cells are there, it's roughly 16,000 multiplied by 1 million, which is around 170 billion cells out there in your Excel file. A little bit of theory. Those who have worked on previous versions of Excel, like Excel 2003, and now working on the new Excel applications, you would recognize this. But those who are using Excel 2016 only, it's also good for you to know that the Office application is now XML based. The advantage or the new features with this XML based applications are that they can have more data than before. So earlier the spreadsheet used to have only 65,000 rows, which is now gone up to 1 million. And also they had only 256 columns, which are now 16,384 columns. You can also have longer formulas, resize your formula bars, uh, and if you click large chunk of text in a cell, the formula bar no longer spills into the worksheet grid, which used to happen before. XML files are also safer to work. They can keep unwanted code and macros away. It can be identified and blocked. There's a less risk of file corruption. You might have experienced that if your file gets corrupted, then you get an option to recover your file, and in most of the cases you can recover the data which you would have lost otherwise. The file size is approximately 50 to 75% smaller than in the previous version of Excel. You open and save the compressed files as you are used to opening and saving any Excel file. More useful data, so more can be done with the data because its basis is XML, which makes it easier to integrate with other data sets and computer programs. For example, you can store your budget data in a specialized program, which can be ERP system that your company follows. You can select the data that you need, or you can make a report in those software and just import those reports into any of the Office applications like Word, Excel, or even Access database. So XML based formats give you more flexibility and keep your data safer than earlier. Little bit more on theory. When you look at the Excel files, you would see that there are various extensions in the file. Earlier, when you used Excel 97 or Excel 2003, the Excel file used to have the extension as XLS only. And nowadays you see the extensions like XLSX, XLSM, XLTX, XLTM, XLSB, and you can still see few files with extension XLS. XLX, in this the X stands for XML. So save a workbook as this file type if it does not contain macros or Visual Basic codes. And if you try to save a workbook as an Excel workbook and there are any macros, commands, or VBA projects in the file, then Excel will warn you that these macros would be deleted if you save it as XLSX. So if you have an Excel file with macros or VBA content in it, then you should better save it as XLSM, where M stands for macros. If you are saving an Excel file as a template to be used, then you can use a file format XLTX. Again, if the template file contains the macros, then use XLTM format. If your file is binary, and especially the larger workbooks are always better to save as a binary files because they save a lot of memory while saving, and they also open faster um, than the normal file. So when you want to save the files as binary files, you can save them as XLSB. And yes, XLS formats are for the older version of Excel file. You can still save your file as XLS file if you know that your receiver is using the lower version of Microsoft Office. In that case, your Microsoft Excel will convert your file and make it compatible for the lower versions of Office packages, and your receiver can open this file without losing any data. Okay, so this is a little bit of theory about the extension of the files and when to use which format. We'll continue with our practice in Excel file. So open a blank Excel file. These are the steps that we are going to follow to learn few things about working further with Excel. Rename sheet. So we have one sheet in this workbook. You can rename the worksheet to identify the data that you will type in this Excel spreadsheet. To rename the sheet, you can right click and rename, or you can also go to cells, format, and rename sheet. When you click on it, you can see that the sheet name is now editable, and you can use backspace to delete it and type and you can use spaces also in Excel file spreadsheet name. You can format the tab, you can give it a color, for example red, or you can go to tab color and give the color that you want. To insert the spreadsheet, if you want to insert one more spreadsheet, there are various ways to do that. You can right click on a worksheet, say insert, and it will ask what you want to insert. So select worksheet, click on OK, and it will add one sheet in front of it. You can drag and drop if you want that spreadsheet to appear after your previous spreadsheet. You can also add spreadsheet. You'd say insert, so home tab, sales group, insert sheet, and it will add a sheet before the sheet that you have selected, and you can again drag and drop the worksheet. Go back to our original worksheet. To navigate between these worksheets, you can of course click on them, but as we looked at some of the keyboard functions in our module 1, there's also keyboard function to navigate between the sheets, and it's control page up and control page down. So when you sheet and control page up will take you to the previous spreadsheet. So control page up, control page down. If you want to go to any particular cell, we saw last time that you can go into the name box and edit and type the cell number that you want to go to. Like I typed I20 and control is on I20. There's also another way that you can follow. If you hit a function key called F5, it is a go to function, and you can write the reference that you want to go to, like for example A5, and control will go to A5. So we'll try something now. We will type this reference XFD 1048576. So I'll hit F5 key and type the reference XFD 1048576, and it has come to this cell. And if I use the scroll bars, now you can see that this is the very last cell in the Excel spreadsheet. And as I showed you last time, if I change the formula style to R1C1 referencing and select OK, then you can see that the last column number is 16384 and the last row number is 1048576, and this is the last cell in your Excel spreadsheet. Now if you want to go all the way up to your first cell, that is A1, the way to do that is to hit the keyboard key Control Home. When you hit Control Home, it goes to the home, the first worksheet. Okay, so let's save and close this file. So you can click on, let's try to do save as, and then it will ask you how you want to save this file. So of course you can give it a name. So let's say training module 2, and then you can select in what format you want to save this Excel file. So as we looked at the option, XLSX is the default file type which it will save, and it means XLS in XML format. XLSM is the one with macros, B for binary, XLS is for the older version of Excel. If you want to save it as a template, then you can use XLTX, and as a macro in a template you can save it as XLTM. So this is how you can. So if you know that the receiver of this file has older versions of Excel, then you can choose to save the file as XLX, and it will convert the data compatible to the XLS format. Okay, so let's save it as XLX. You can click on if so it shows you the default location where this file will be saved. If you want to choose the specific folder to save this file, you can click on browse and you can select the folder, a specific folder that you would like your file to be saved on. So I'm saving this file in my document training module 2. Click on save. After saving the file, let's close it. And now let's try to find our file and open it. You can click on File, Open. Generally in Excel or in Word or any Office application, when you click on Open, it shows you the recent files which you already used, which is quite handy because then you can just select the file that you were working on last time. If you don't find the file here that you want to open, you can always click on Browse and find your file. So we saved our file into Documents folder, so we can see that file here and click on Open here. In this next example, we will look at a few more formatting options and page layouting for Excel spreadsheet. I have this file where I already have some data filled in. Actually, I'm using some examples and also some notes from Microsoft Office Excel training. So this example is from Microsoft Office Excel training that I'm using. So this is one Excel file with some data in it. Let's try to understand what data it is. So you have the column headings named as product ID, product name, quantity, and supplier. So these are the product IDs 11, 42, 72. It's a numerical data. The product names are here, and these are the quantity, again another numerical data, and the supplier company name. Okay, so let's try to work around this Excel file. Let's say you want to add a column in front of supplier. So select any of the cells in column supplier, and from the Home tab, Sales Group, Insert, and select Insert Sheet Columns. And you can see that column D is inserted between quantity and supplier. Select cell D1 and type heading for this new column. The heading is category. And in D3, let's type grains slash, okay, and again adjust the column. Let's go to cell C52, which is at the end here, cell 51, and you can type equal to sign and S. As soon as you type equal sign, the Excel recognizes that you want to enter a formula, and when you enter S, it already gives you the options to select from the formulas starting with S. So scroll through them and select sum, S-U-M. So to select this formula, you need to double click on it. Now you can see that the function sum is added with a bracket, and you can see a small tooltip near to it which gives us the information as how this function works. So what are the arguments or the parameters you need to pass to this function so that it works. So the parameters required for function sum are number 1 comma number 2. You can see that number 2 is written into the rectangular brackets, which always means, so rectangular bracket means the optional parameter, and the parameter which is not in the brackets is the compulsory parameter. And you can see that after number 2 there are 3 dots, which means there can be, so minimum there should be one number, and there can be many more numbers which are separated by comma, and then this function will add all those to give us the sum of all those numbers. You can, other than the number, you can also enter the cell reference in it. So we want to know the total quantity which we have in inventory from this spreadsheet. So we need to have sum of all the numbers in column C. So you can add the reference like C2, which is the first cell, and type colon C50. So which means that it will select all the data from column C row number 2 to column C row number 15 and provide us the sum for it. And you can see the data is now 1177, which is sum of all the numbers in column C. Okay, we can switch to the page layout view. Let's try header first, and let's say this is a sales report. I will make it bigger so that you can see here. So I type the header sales report. Few things in the footer. Okay. In the footer, so when you click on the footer, you see the extra tab here called as header and footer tools, and in that you have a tab called design. When you click on it, you can see these various options that you can use to add the auto information in footer. So let's say I want to add the page number. I can click on it, and you can see in the footer here that it adds a formula called as and page. I can add the text here. Let's say I want to add a slash, and then I want to add number of pages. And it adds here and pages. I can also add the date in the right side of the footer. So I want to add the current date, and in the center I want to add the file name. Okay, You can also select the header and then go to the design tab, and when you click on this drop down button for header or footer, you can find various predefined options that you can use. Like for example, if I use this into the footer, then you would see that it has automatically added the author name, the page number, and the date. And when you select, you would see the formula that it has added. If I don't want footer to be like that, then I can go back, say no, I only want page numbers, and it will give only page number. Okay, so you can do same for the header here. You can go to the header and decide to have any of this predefined headers for your file. For example, let's use the sheet name only, and it will come in the center. So it's underscore sales data, which is a sheet name. Okay, now the next step, let's try to add few more things in this report to make it presentable. For that, let's go back to the normal view. In the normal view, select the first cell, that's A1, and insert a row above this. How do you insert? You can either say right click, insert, and say entire row. So insert an entire row, okay, or you can also do that from insert and insert row. Okay, now if you want to insert one more row, you can hit F4 key. F4 function key can be used to repeat the last action that you did. So we inserted a row and then we hit F4 key. By doing that, it repeated the last action, which means it reinserted the one more row. Now we have two rows on the top and they're empty. Select cell A1 and type on so sales data for June. Okay. Now select cell A1 to E1. Now to select the cells more than one, you should click the mouse button and drag the mouse to A1. So select A1, keep the mouse button clicked and drag your mouse up to E1, and it will select the cells from A1 to E1. Okay, then select one of the styles. So you have these styles available here. We can expand these styles by clicking on the small arrow button, and you can select one of these styles. So let's say we want this either heading 1, heading 2, or you can select to display this name as title. So let's use heading 1, and then with all these cells selected from A1 to E1, you select the command merge and center. So as it shows in the tooltip, when you select this, it will merge the cells. So it will merge cell E1 to E1 into one cell, and it will center the data. And this is how it looks like. Now we go back to page layout view. Okay. So we added the heading, and we also did some beautification to the spreadsheet data. Now we want to print it, but as you can see, the layout is not good enough. So what all we need to do to make sure that we print this data properly. So let's explore a few options. Click on page layout, and under page layout, expand the option margins, and you can see there are various options. The one selected right now is the custom margins. Try to reduce the margin, so we'll try to select narrow margins. We don't see any difference. We'll go and say wide margins, and now you can see that the data is shifted a little bit because the margins are now bigger. So let's keep the narrow margins for now. Okay, then you can change the orientation of the page. You can make it landscape, or can keep it portrait. And you can see the difference when we change. So this is the portrait format. If you change to landscape, then it becomes the horizontal format. You can go to size, so it's size letter. You can select A4 size, or can select, if you want the bigger size, then you can select A3 size. Okay, now you can see that whatever you try to do, it is not coming on one page. The reason for that is, we'll see it here. Go to page break preview, and as you can see, there are the page breaks set with these blue lines. So even if you change your page format, your page will become bigger and bigger, but your page breaks will always stay at these lines where they are. To get rid of that, what you need to do is reset these page breaks. So in the page layout, you have the breaks command, and you can say reset all page breaks. And now if you can go back to the page layout, and you can see that all your data is on one page, but now the page is too big than the data itself. So you can go back to A4 size, and you can also change the orientation to portrait in fitting the data on A4 page. Now the other command group you have here is scale to fit, where it says that the scale is 100%, and then the height and width will be automatic. Uh, let's click on the dialog box launcher. When you click here, you get this option. So it says adjust to 100% size, and this option is not selected. So instead of keeping the percentage scale fixed and let Excel adjust the height and width of the page, what we will do is we'll let Excel adjust the percentages, and we fix that the whole data should fit in 1 page wide by 1 page tall. Select that, click on OK, and now you can see that the complete data has fitted on 1 page, and as you can see here, the scale is now 96%. Okay, and this seems a good option. You can now, if you want to print it, can click on File, Print, and before you select your printer, you can see that all data is on 1 page, but you don't see the borders for the table on the print preview. You can click on Page Setup, or you go back and click on the dialog box launcher and click on the tab Sheet. You can select the option called as Grid Lines and then click on Print Preview. And now you can see that the data will be printed with the borders. Okay. Few more options to explore. If you deliberately want to split your data into 2 pages from, let's say, this line from row number 27, then select this cell, and from the breaks you can insert a page break. So let's reset all the page breaks first. And try to again insert a page break. And now you can see that the data is split over 2 pages. Okay, and if you see the print preview for this, you still see it on 1 page because we selected the option to fit everything on 1 page. So let's say fit all columns only on 1 page. So if rows needs to be split over the pages, then it should be possible, but all columns should be on 1 page. So instead of putting everything on 1 page, we would say only all columns on 1 page. Now you can see that the data is split over 2 pages now. Yep. And so you want to keep it this way, but you want your title and the top row to appear on the second page as well. Yeah? That's possible. You can go back to the dialog box launcher, click on Format Your Sheet tab, and there's an option which says Rows to Repeat at top. Select here, and you can select your row. So you want row 1 to row 3. Okay, you can see in the field here it types $1 colon $3 and click on OK and try to see the print preview again. And now when you go on page 2, so you have the data heading on page 1. What we did today is, well, So we did this small exercise. You can try this again. So these were the 14 steps where we added sheet, colored the tab. We used control page up and page down to navigate from one sheet to another. We also explored the last cell of Excel file, which is XFD 1048576. And then we also learned to use control home page to come back to first cell A1 of a page from anywhere. We saved the book. We looked at various formats in which you can save the workbook, and we also found and opened that workbook. We also saw that when you try to open the workbook, your Excel generally gives you the recent opened files from where you can quickly open your last accessed file. In the other exercise, we added the column in and some data in a file which already had some data in it. We formatted that file to add the heading. We also saw a small example of adding sum for quantities and how to use the cell referencing to add the formula. Uh, then we gave headers, footers to the file. We looked at the formatting options to select various margins and alignments. We also saw the options from where you can change different type of page, different size, different orientation, how to add or reset the page breaks, checking the grid lines, adding the constant rows or columns to repeat on each page, and then how to print the Excel file to PDF. This was all for today. Keep practicing. Till next time, and please like and subscribe the video and keep on following for next module. Thank you.